particular Saturday, it was a beautiful morning, much like probably the Saturday we had, where it was beautiful blue skies and perfect morning for California temperatures. And they started up the mountain, packing as they usually do. And as in hiking, I don't know about you, but when I do hike, I'm always looking to see where my feet are going. And as they were going up that mountain, striding, all of a sudden they looked up and there was a huge black bear, frozen in their tracks. One of the hikers drops down, pulls out his backpack, pulling out his running shoes, changing his shoes, and his friend looks at him and says, "What the hell are you doing? You can't outrun that bear." And he looked up at his friend and said, "I only have to outrun you." We often feel like we're outrunning the big bear that is often regulation, it's often the challenges in our business, and we feel like we're running for our lives. The goal today is to tame that bear down and make it a bear cub that we all feel like we can manage and manage successfully. Thank you for having me.
As we go through the different speakers, there's not going to be the opportunity for questions other than possibly from the industry expert that we have. But there's white cards on the table. Event staff have the white cards. You can write questions down at 11:05. We're going to have a 25-minute session that's going to be question and answer. We'll also have live mics so you can directly ask a question from the audience. During lunch, these round tables over here are going to have people we have speaking and others that truly understand the regulations and compliance, and you can consult with them one-on-one or in small groups. Our next speaker is here for a discussion of the CARB fleet rules. I'd like to welcome Mr. Warren Hawkins. He's the manager of the In-Use Compliance Control Measures section at the Air Resources Board. We really appreciate him coming down.
Thank you. Thank you all for allowing me to come up and speak with you. Sandra, that was a wonderful story. I guess I am the bear, so nobody please don't get up and run out of this room. I feel bad. Well, I'm here to talk to you about several different fleet rules that you may, well, one of them for sure you have to follow, that you will have to comply with. Two others may or may not apply to you depending on your occupation. I'm here to talk to you about the statewide truck and bus regulation, which Sandra mentioned. I have some information on the transportation refrigeration unit regulation as well as the greenhouse gas regulation. I only have a few minutes to speak with you. I have real high-level information as well as contact information that you can call and get for the regulation on how to comply with it, as well as funding. Plus Eloy Flores at the table over there has some information that if you want to come over and grab some flyers, we'd be happy to discuss with you over there details of the regulation. Okay, statewide truck and bus regulation. It became law in January of this year. Currently, there are several requirements that are in order that have not been delayed. If you sell a vehicle, you must disclose that vehicle falls under the regulation to the new buyer. Two engine sweepers with Tier 0 engines and agricultural vehicles that want to take use of the accident provisions in the regulation were required to report by us by March of this year. So those two things have already happened. And as Sandy mentioned, in September, we plan on going back under direction of the board from December of last year to go back and make amendments to the regulation to make it more friendly to the end user. So currently, without any change, if the regulation were to stand as is, what's it do to you? Well, it applies to any diesel vehicle owner-operated by a federal agency or a private individual that operates in the state of California over 14,000 pounds gross vehicle weight. And what's required at this time? Well, beginning January 1, 2011 through 2014, it would require every diesel truck not currently regulated under one of the other fleet provisions to have a diesel filter, PM particulate filter, installed on it by 2014. And then in 2013, it would require meeting 2010 engine standards based on model years of vehicles all the way out through 2023, so that by 2023, every vehicle operating in the state is 2010 engine. There are 3 compliance options with the regulation. There's best available control technology compliance option, and that one's simply based on model year of the vehicle, and then based on your model year, you have a implementation date in the future. Fleet percentage, so if you got 100 vehicles, by a certain year, you have to have 25% done. We don't care which vehicle you would do, you just do a certain percentage of your fleet. And then there's also a fleet average provision where, based on model year, you have an engine certification, and then you have a certain number for that and a target each year that you have to meet. By doing some complicated math, you got to try to get to that point, and it gets stricter every year. There are several special provisions in the regulation. I talked about the ag vehicle one briefly. If you operate in attainment areas for oxides of nitrogen, which are mostly up in Northern California, you have different timelines, motor coaches, there's manufacturer delays, mileage provisions, and some other things. So this is a lot of information I'm throwing out here. I'm not giving you any details. So at the end, I'll show you some phone numbers and websites where you can go to and you can talk to live people. We have a staff of 10 to 15 people that monitor a phone line system between 8 and 5 every single day to answer live telephone calls and provide information, so that's available to all of you. And like I said, a sales disclosure. This is the actual language of the disclosure that you would need to provide to the purchaser of the vehicle if you are selling one. And like I said, we're going back to the board to make some changes in September. So what are those changes going to be? We're proposing to defer for 3 months through April because of delayed timing of going back to the board. We were supposed to go back in April when we missed our target, so September is the next day. Because of the delay, we're going to push back the initial reporting deadline from January to April for every fleet other than the ag and the 2-engine sweepers. We're also proposing a 1-year delay in filter requirements for vehicles in fleets of 21 through 40 vehicles, 2 years for vehicles in fleets 4 to 20, and then really no changes for fleets of 1 through 3. That provision was already in the regulation. Potentially stretch out compliance requirements even further. If you travel less than 15,000 miles, then you would not be subject to the replacement requirements of the regulation until 2021. We're going to be making amendments to the drayage truck regulation as well when we go back to the board in September. And they're also proposing some filter credits. If you put on a filter by January 1 of this year, then that vehicle would not be needed to be replaced for more years down the road. As well as possibly if you put on a filter between now and then, it would count as 2 filters and compliance options. So it spreads out your compliance deadlines further in the future. And they're also looking at adding a locking truck provision. So how do you stay informed for the truck and bus regulation? You can go to the truck and bus regulation website, and all of our diesel rules have listservs, emails that you can sign up for. So anytime we do something to the web, it generates an email to you. So whether it's proposing amendments to the board or coming out with regulations or whatever, when that's posted on the web page, it generates an email that would go to your email address. And if you dial 8666 diesel number, that gets you to the live operator phone line number where you can ask questions on the regulation and incentive fundings. And as well as you can send an email to the 8666 diesel@arb.ca.gov. The heavy duty vehicle greenhouse gas regulation. What is this? Well, it's an early action measure for AB 32. It's designed to reduce carbon dioxide emissions from on-road heavy duty trucks. What does it apply to? Well, it became effective in January of 2010. It applies to tractors that pull 53 foot or longer trailers, as well as it applies to the trailers that are 53 foot or longer. Who's responsible for compliance? The owner, a driver, motor carrier, a California-based broker, or a California-based shipper. There's optional phasing for small fleets and large fleets from 2016 for small fleets and 2010 through 2015 for large fleets. Now, I'm sorry, this is real general information, but it requires certain Smart Way certified technologies and low rolling resistant tires and some other things. They're also going to the board in September to make some changes to add flexibility to the regulation. That's pretty much packets, or the presentations and packets, so you have all of the web pages and phone numbers and things. And then the TRU regulation, it became law in 2004. Again, we're going back to make amendments. We're making amendments to a lot of our regulations in September. They're going to change the end-use standard for 2003 engines that do not comply by December of this year. Dealers shall provide the ARBA registration information to end users at the point of sale, and the bill of sale must disclose to the buyer the unit of non-compliant use in California. There's reporting requirements that began in July of 2009, and some end-use performance standards. The main reason why I brought both of these other two up and didn't provide much information is because if you are doing long-haul stuff, you need to know that there's a greenhouse gas regulation that will affect you in the future. And I wanted you to understand there is something out there and let you know how to get it, as well as if you do any of the all goods that need to be refrigerated. Just wanted to point out there is a regulation that you need to be concerned about and how to get information from. So for more information on everything, for TRUs, you can go there. ARB has built a truck stop web page where it's a one-stop shop, so you can go there and you can get information on all the diesel regulations, whether or not you're a private individual, if you're a public agency or a utility, if you're a solid waste collection vehicle, transit operator. Go to this one page and it will direct you to where you need to go. Greenhouse gas regulation is the trailers button on there. TRUs, of course, is the transport refrigeration unit, and then there's a funding one. What's interesting about this website is they built it into be kind of interactive so that you can go into the diesel trucks or into this incentive funding and you can answer a few questions. The web page is designed based on the questions and how you answer them. It will spit out what regulations you need to be concerned about and what potential incentive funding there is out there available for you. South Coast Air Quality Management District has a table over here with some flyers on it, and they'll be your main source of incentive funding in the Southern California area. And then brochures and fact sheets. We have this fact sheet over on the table where Eloy